All right, hey there, I'm Kieran.
I'm Aaron.
And we're here from Golden Gate Mobility to talk to you about the Sausalito Ferry Landside topic. Today, diving into super exciting topic, Ordinance 1128. So what is Ordinance 1128? I know it sounds super intriguing. We'll talk about it and why it matters for the Ferry Landside. So we'll cover a couple of these topics, just like what is this thing? Why does it actually matter for this project? And what are some of the options and considerations that we can't necessarily answer? Because I don't know about you, Aaron, but I don't have a law degree. Aaron, do you have a JD?
No. Only from YouTube, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you had one and you just didn't tell me about it. We don't. But what are some of the options and considerations that do need to be considered here? So what is this thing? The headline on 1128, this is an ordinance voted in by the Sausalito City Council back in 1997. So it's pretty old. I won't make you do the math on how old you were back then, Aaron. But yeah, back in my days of youth. But this is really about regulating the sale, lease, or disposition of a number of things, both parks, MLK site, and parking lots in Sausalito. So by the headline, this is really just about, hey, city of Sausalito, you can't get rid of stuff. You can't sell property. But there's more to it than that. It's not quite that simple.
Yeah.
So why does this matter for the Ferry Landside? It's not just about sale, lease, or disposition. It also is saying that parking lots have to remain parking lots without voter approval. So this is kind of the more detailed headline or the more detailed section within 1128. And then it gets even more detailed in terms of how this is implemented in our general plan. So this is really where the rubber meets the road on 1128. And I'm pulling out two sections that are really relevant to Ferry Landside. And as a reminder, Lot 1 is right in this Ferry Landside zone. So when people are talking about the redesign of the Ferry Landside area, they're often including Lot 1 as part of that. And so it's doing a couple of things, basically saying that the land area for parking in the downtown has to stay at 1990 levels. Couldn't even tell you what that is. But more specifically, the land area that is that's lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, it can't be used for anything other than public parking. And then it gets even more detailed and says that the amount of public land area provided in the downtown for public parking cannot be increased by any amount. So that means we can't have any more land for parking, but we can decrease it by 5%. And that's, I think, pretty obviously the summation. So the summation of lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, what is all that land area? Can you decrease it by 5%? That would be allowable. If you want to do more than that, it requires a vote. So that definitely creates some handcuffs without having to the designers on how much can be done without considering a vote by the public.
And we saw them. They acknowledged that they were constrained in that one video with Kevin, I think, right?
Super constrained, right? I mean, one of the ways I talk about it's like we have a bunch of artists, but we've told the artists they can only paint the frame of the picture. They can't actually paint the picture because of Ordinance 1128.
Yeah.
But there are some really important questions here. I can only raise them as questions. I can't answer them. But the lawyers can, the city can, city attorney specifically can. I think there's a specific one of, can we get confirmation that parking area includes more than just the spaces themselves? So if they use parking lot, it would be a more clear legal definition. They haven't used the word parking lot. Just clarifying that includes the alleyways, medians, anything that effectively has no other use rather than being tied up in the parking lot, because that helps us define what is that 5%. It's actually a pretty meaningful area. This is a teaser to listen into some of our future videos, but we can actually do a fair amount with that 5%. That's without having to go get a vote. Also, that one of the things we're seeing is some of the designs are including Tracy Way in the new parking lot. So basically, the entrance and exit, the Tracy Way as a public street disappears. And it's now part of Lot 1. Feels like that's now expanding the size of Lot 1, which is a big no-no under Ordinance 1128. So we need to get clarity on that. We want to understand does that ordinance cover street parking at all? Some of the phrasing has wiggle room in it. So it'd be good to understand, is street parking included, or is it really only lots 1 through 4? It'd be helpful to know if the city has already dipped into that 5% and if they're keeping track in it, or if they've done any increasing, because we'd want to know. Again, it impacts how much space we have. And also, can we use parking area? It's just parking area. Parking, if they use parking lot, it'd be a little different in terms of that's for vehicles, for automotive vehicles. Parking area, I think that should, can that include bicycle parking? Because that also gives us more wiggle room in terms of the type of design we use.
Right. Yeah. Because like parking is parking, right? I mean, bringing in
Parking
people.
is parking. Yeah. And if you look in lot 1 today, Aaron, like, well, the area that's used for bicycle staging, that was lot 1. Like, you can see old road markings. That was a thoroughfare for vehicles. They're now using it as vehicle parking.
Mhm.
And no one seems worried about that as violation of 1128. So that might actually be a precedent that bicycle parking is okay.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then the last one is
And also, wouldn't then a bike path going through to get to the bike parking then also qualify as
potentially, yeah. I mean, if you're saying it's just a thoroughfare to get to the bike parking, potentially.
Yeah.
And then the last one is, so we talked about having to go get a vote if we want to go beyond that 5. But is that actually required? So this was an ordinance voted in by the city council. My understanding is that typically means that it can be voted out or can be amended by the same process. So that's kind of the 1128 and some of the implications in a nutshell. It definitely ties in with a lot of other topics, which we plan to make videos.